On a warm Saturday afternoon, the church was filled with music, laughter, and promise. Friends watched as Amara and Daniel stood before the altar, hands trembling slightly, eyes locked with hope. Their vows were simple but heartfelt: love, loyalty, forever. No one in that room could have imagined that those same promises would one day echo in a courtroom, then fade into the sound of gunshots. At first, their marriage looked like a success story. Daniel was charming, confident, and protective, sometimes too protective, though Amara brushed it off as love. He insisted on knowing where she was at all times, questioned her friendships, and subtly isolated her from people who didn't respect the marriage. Amara, raised to believe patience could fix anything, stayed quiet. She told herself every couple struggled. But as the years passed, the charm wore thin. Daniel's jealousy grew into control, and control slowly turned into emotional abuse. Arguments became frequent, often over nothing. A delayed phone call, a smile at the wrong person, a rumor Daniel couldn't confirm but refused to forget. Each fight ended the same way, with Daniel apologizing, promising to change, and Amara forgiving, hoping this time would be different. It never was. The breaking point came late one night after a minor disagreement exploded into hours of shouting. For the first time, Amara felt fear, not of losing the marriage, but of losing herself. The next morning, while Daniel slept, she packed a small bag and left. Within weeks, she filed for divorce. Daniel did not take it well. In public, he played the victim. He told friends Amara had abandoned him, that she had been unfaithful, that he was heartbroken. In private, his messages were relentless, long texts swinging between begging and rage. Some nights, he threatened to harm himself. Other nights, he threatened her. Amara saved every message. The divorce proceedings were tense but brief. The judge granted Amara full separation, issuing a restraining order after Daniel showed up uninvited at her workplace. When the final papers were signed, Amara felt relief for the first time in years. She believed the worst was over. She was wrong. Months later, Amara met Victor, a soft-spoken man with an easy laugh. Unlike Daniel, Victor didn't demand explanations or control her time. He listened. He respected boundaries. Slowly, Amara began to heal. She moved into a small apartment, redecorated, and allowed herself to imagine a future again. Daniel, however, was watching from a distance. Through mutual acquaintances and social media, he learned Amara was dating someone new. The news consumed him. Friends later said he spoke of betrayal as if it were a crime punishable by death. "She was mine first," he told one person. "She can't just replace me." In Daniel's mind, the divorce hadn't ended the marriage. It had stolen it. On a quiet weekday night, Amara stayed over at Victor's house. They cooked dinner, watched a movie, and talked about weekend plans. It was peaceful, ordinary, the kind of night people assume will repeat endlessly. Around 2 a.m., while the city slept, Daniel parked his car a few houses away. He had followed Amara earlier that evening. In his glove compartment was a handgun he had purchased weeks before, telling the seller it was for personal protection. What happened next would later be pieced together by investigators, neighbors, and a single surviving security camera. Daniel approached the house calmly, as if he belonged there. He knew the layout. He had studied it online, memorized entry points. Finding a back door unlocked, he slipped inside. The house was silent except for the hum of an air conditioner. Upstairs, Amara and Victor were asleep. Daniel stood at the bedroom doorway for several seconds, watching. According to prosecutors, this pause was critical. It showed intent, not impulse. Whatever thoughts raced through his mind, they did not stop him. The gunshots shattered the night. Victor was killed instantly. Amara, struck while asleep, never had a chance to scream. Neighbors reported hearing loud bangs, but assumed it was a car backfiring, until screams followed, and then silence. Daniel fled the scene before police arrived. The discovery was devastating. When officers entered the house, they found 2 lives ended in the most vulnerable moment, sleep. Amara's family was notified before sunrise. Her mother collapsed upon hearing the news. Friends struggled to understand how a divorce meant to save her life had instead cost it. Daniel was arrested less than 12 hours later after being tracked through traffic cameras. During interrogation, he showed little emotion. He admitted to the shooting, but insisted he had been pushed too far. He claimed Amara had destroyed his life by moving on. At trial, prosecutors painted a chilling picture of obsession and entitlement. They presented the threatening messages, the restraining order, the premeditated purchase of the weapon. This was not a crime of passion, they argued. It was a planned execution fueled by control and rage. The defense attempted to frame Daniel as a broken man overwhelmed by loss. The jury did not agree. Daniel was convicted on 2 counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Today, Amara's story is shared as a warning. Friends describe her as kind, hopeful, and brave for choosing to leave a dangerous marriage. Victor is remembered as a man who offered love without conditions. And Daniel? He spends his days behind bars, a stark reminder that when love turns into ownership and rejection turns into revenge, the ending is almost always tragic. From wedding vows to gunshots, this was not a love story. That IT was a crime that should never have happened.